Welcome to The Good Ride. I'm James Beastie, and I'm just being me in a world that isn't, next to the Nidecker Beta APX, a board I do not want to part with. I borrowed this for an extended demo, and I'm sending it back, probably, but I'd like to keep it. So spoiler alert, love this board. Now, I got this board in a decent amount of conditions, but I got the regular Beta in powder, in groomers, in spring snow, summer snow, all kinds of conditions. So I didn't need as much time on the Beta APX as I did the Beta. They share the same shape and camber profile, they just have different construction. I tested it with Union Atlas, Nidecker Kalon X bindings, which I really enjoyed, Nidecker Rift lace, my Ride Fuse, and my Ride Torrent boots. This 157 is perfect for me. I wouldn't change a thing. I wouldn't want to go up to the 62. It is way too wide for me. Felt great in deep powder, but when I got on groomers, I was so far away from the edges, it was a nightmare to turn when the conditions started to get uneven, and it was very challenging. Now, when it comes to the shape, you have a little bit of taper, not as much as you would think for looking at this very directional, very surfy looking shape. It definitely doesn't have that setback, surfy feel that a lot of boards that look like this have. There is a good bit of camber going well past the front foot all the way down to the tail, but then you have a little bit of early rise along with some spoon nose. It tracks incredibly well one footing and flat basing. I don't really feel the spoon nose tech in the effective edge at all, so it feels pretty locked in and powerful, but it is a little less locked in and powerful than it would be if it was full camber starting where the nose begins. Now let's talk flex here. It is a medium stiff board. There's a little softer flex in the nose, a little stiffer in the tail in this region. Down at the very bottom of the tail, it is a little softer, a little more forgiving. But overall, a medium stiff flex, and it's got really good pop. I didn't have the Beta with me to do an A/B test, but just from my memory of riding it last year versus this one, there is definitely a lot more energy, a lot more pop with the Beta APX. And it's not that much more expensive, so that's pretty cool too. Buttering off the nose is okay, but the spoon nose makes it hard to do so. It can kind of slide out on you when you go to a nose butter. The buttering off the tail was doable, but it's not super easy. Where this board really shines is the pop and the energy you get when trying to create an ollie. It's special here and definitely a bump up above the regular Beta. Now you take this dynamic, poppy flex personality and you put it out in uneven conditions. I didn't really stress test this in super wet, messy, uneven snow or super hard, micro bumpy snow, but I was really surprised that I didn't get a lot of nasty chatter, a lot of extra energy where I don't need it in the form of buckiness and bounciness in certain conditions that normally aren't fun for this kind of board. I thought it did great. Yeah, it's not as damp as the regular Beta, but this is better than most Plus models, most APX, Plus, Ultra, whatever you want to call them. This does a very good job. Now, when it comes to speed and base glide, this thing can point it. This has a more straight-liney side cut to it. It's great for those down the line kind of mid-level turns that are more closer to a straight line, and when you want to point it, this thing points it. It's really good. I'm not really a straight liner kind of rider, but for some reason this just vibed with me so well, and I really enjoyed how this pointed it, and I was very surprised. The bass is super fast. I love Nidecker's high-end basses. It's better than the Beta. It does a very good job at keeping its speed and gliding in all conditions. There's a little bit of structure to this bass, so when that perfect midwinter snow disappears and the spring snow emerges, it's gonna do okay there as well. So very good bass tune and very good bass glide. Now when it comes to edge hold, this thing grips really well. I was surprised. Maybe it's this different sidewall technology combined with a cool side cut and having the camber profile a little bit nearer you on your front foot where you really weight your turns, but it just gripped very well for not having, you know, those crazy disruptions in the side cut that a lot of other brands do. I like those crazy disruptions, but I was surprised that I forgot that I needed it when I was on this board. Now, when it comes to turn initiation, it's kind of quick edge to edge. I would say it's more on the medium to medium fast border, but when you get it on edge, it's not the kind of board that you just jam across the groomers or you go into a circle carve. This is more for high speed, more longer, drawn out, hard carving turns. That's where this board really shines when I got it on edge. And I loved a wide open groomer with this and really laying into a turn, really driving off your front foot throughout the turn. I thought that's where this board lit up, and it has lots of camber and lots of pop and energy and spring out of the turn. So it's a very dynamic, very fun, very energetic turner, and I just couldn't get enough of it. I kept wanting to ride this board more, even though I had so many other boards to test. Now, when it comes to powder, this is very set back and directional. It doesn't have a lot of taper, but it has all these other cool things that come into play to make this a great floater for its size. For example, you have sort of a swallowtail, a very small swallowtail going on. You have a lot of setback on board. With a 22-inch stance width set all the way back with a full-size disc, you can get 6.75 inches back from center of board. That is massive. It is so much more than most free ride boards. It might not be as much as some really set back snow surf boards, but it's in that world between free ride and snow surf. Then you factor in the early rise going into spoon nose on this big nose, and you have a really easy floating board that also has an amazing turning experience in powder because of that spoon nose. It just rolls so easy edge to edge in powder. I'm speaking mainly from experience on the Beta, not this Beta APX, but they have the same shape, same camber profile, same setback on board. This is just gonna have a faster base and a little more pop, so just gonna be even more fun. Overall, I really enjoyed the Beta. I recommend that to a lot of different riders. Now that I got on the Beta APX, I like this even more. They're both great boards. I'd say the Beta's a little better for those who like to straight line more and want an even more damp board, and they're willing to sacrifice a little bit of base glide. But if you want faster base glide and you want more pop without sacrificing too much in terms of chatter, bucky, bounciness, this Nidecker Beta APX is one hell of a ride, and I thoroughly enjoyed testing this.